Hi, I'm Nikki, and I remember the constant aroma of freshly baked bread from my childhood in a little house. After school, I used to love kneading dough with my dad, who had taken over the family bakery from his parents. It wasn't like my mom. She outturned her father as a real estate agent who she portrayed in racy outfits and high heels. "Nikki, come set the table." My mom called one night when I was 12 years old. At the time, I was scrawny, socially uncomfortable, and mostly concerned with reading. "Coming." As I drew down the corner of the page, I yelled. I heard them beginning up again as I placed the plates on the table. "Yet another lazy month, Tyler," Mom stated with a disgruntled tone. "When will you receive it?" "Oh, who cares? Grandma lost her cool. She should know what a failure her father is." In an effort to control my sobbing, I clutched the table's edge. We had several instances of Mom scolding Dad and Dad attempting to maintain peace at our house. Mom felt ensnared in a life she despised, so I understood it wasn't all about the money. "Nikki," a sound was made by Mom's canine. "Where's my wine?" My trembling hands made a mess of the tablecloth as I hurried to pour her a glass. Mom's pupils widened. "You are a foolish girl. Will you just sit there and do nothing?" Dad crossed over. "Joyce, it's only a small amount of wine. Not a problem." His mother gave him a sidelong glance. "You treat her too gently. I see no reason why she won't be any better than you when she grows up." I bolted from my bedroom and hid my head in my pillow. I didn't get why Dad tolerated Mom's treatment of him. I loved him so much. For my part, I figured out how to blend in, to be stealthy and unassuming. There was an unusual stillness when I awoke the following morning. Baking bread aroma is non-existent. I didn't hear Mom's heels. I silently made my way downstairs and discovered my pale-faced dad seated at the kitchen table. "Where's Mom?" I inquired, although I was already aware in my heart. I was given a note by my dad. The text was neatly written by her. "Tyler, I've had enough. It's Larry and me heading out. He has the power to grant my every want. This whole small-town thing isn't my thing. You are pointless in your search for me, Nikki. You have turned our daughter into a loser, Tyler. Farewell and farewell." Feeling sick to my stomach, I gazed at the note. Mom had departed. She abandoned us, describing Dad as a failure and me as being of no value in her last remarks. Court proceedings and emotional upheaval dominated the subsequent months. In his divorce petition, Dad sought the removal of Mom's parental rights. As we sat in the chilly courtroom, waiting for Mom, I clutched Dad's sweating hand. She was never present. My attention wandered while the adults conversed, picking up on terms like abandonment and unfit parent. After that, Dad gave my hand a little squeeze. A gentle "It's done, Nikki" came from him. "Your mother's parental rights have been terminated as a result of the final divorce decree. Right now, it's just the two of us." A mix of relief and sadness washed over me as I nodded. From that point on, things became more difficult. Dad dove headfirst into his profession, putting in countless hours at the bakery. I began to help out around the house even though I was just 14 years old. Upon returning from school, I would complete my assignments before beginning to prepare dinner and wash laundry. This was the way things were for a long time. Everything shifted once more shortly after I turned 16. Someday Dad returned home, appearing startled and melancholy. He sank onto a kitchen chair and murmured, "Uncle Ryan died." Tightly, I embraced him. "I'm so sorry, Dad." With wide eyes, he withdrew from my embrace after returning it. "Nikki, this is unbelievable. I was left everything by him, nearly $500,000. It's just the two of us. What am I supposed to do with it all?" However, Dad quickly figured it out. With some of the funds, he upgraded the bakery's equipment and added new items to the menu. Everyone was raving about our modest bakery after only a few months. Without our knowledge, Dad had expanded his workforce, extended business hours, and was soon opening a second facility across town. We no longer had to worry about money when I turned 17 because Dad had 3 prosperous bakeries. To devote more time to my schoolwork, I left my after-school employment. We went on a 3-week European vacation, which was our first true vacation. Mom faded into oblivion as the years went by. Dad had a few flings here and there, but he never appeared interested in tying the knot again. It didn't bother me because we were content the way we were. A flurry of cap-tossing and embraces marked the end of high school graduation. Everything that I had put in paid off. Going to State University to major in finance was my plan. Dad gave me a little box the morning before I was to go. "What's this?" I inquired as I retrieved a key from the box. My dad grinned. "An apartment near campus. It's your graduation gift. Forget about housing costs and dorms." Paralyzed with shock, I gazed at him. "Dad, I just can't. It's excessive." He disregarded my concerns. "Nikki, you deserved it. Proceed and bring me pride." College was a blur. I was hell-bent on making the most of the opportunity my dad had given me, so I dove headfirst into my schoolwork. I interned at several area financial firms in my spare time. I had secured a position as a junior financial analyst prior to my graduation. Standing in front of my apartment mirror, I straightened my blazer on my first day of work. Telling my reflection, "You've got this, Nikki," was my advice. Make Dad proud. Despite the difficulties, I thoroughly enjoyed my work. I put away and invested every cent of my bonus and salary increase. "Money makes money, Nikki," was Dad's counsel that kept ringing in my head. Make wise decisions. I was able to cash in on my investments by the time I was 34 years old because enough time had passed. In addition to the apartment I was renting out, I also owned 3 others, and they were all doing well. It was a good life. The turning point came with the game-changing phone call. "Nikki," Dad's voice was anxious. "Could you kindly drop by? I must speak with you." He was sitting at the kitchen table, looking as ancient as ever when I got there. "What's wrong, Dad?" Feeling a constriction in my chest, I inquired. He inhaled deeply. "My darling, it's cancer. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. Everything changed. A low voice muttered, "No, it was me. This has to be a mistake." However, it was not the case. A year of therapy and highs and lows followed. Even though Dad was too sick to eat it, I made sure he had his favorite cheese soup whenever we had a spare moment. When I got there one brisk fall day, he was sitting in his favorite chair, looking quite serious. "Nikki, we really should have a conversation," he remarked, gently tapping the seat beside him. "The doctors say I've got 5 months, tops." With a shake of my head, I opposed it. "I don't agree with them. We'll seek out a different viewpoint." He delicately extended his arm. "No big deal, Nikki. It is now something I can accept. I'm going to sell my bakeries. You will be the center of attention. You'll be good to go forever." As I drew back, I wiped my tears. "I am not interested in receiving your funds, Dad. You are mine." Gently, he grinned. "I understand, my darling. However, this is how I will ensure your well-being, even in my absence." What followed was a priceless and excruciatingly agonizing 6 months. Despite our usual lack of focus, we managed to chat more than ever before. His laugh, the scent of sugar and flour that lingered on his skin, and every line of his face were all etched in my memory. He departed on a tranquil Sunday morning. The funeral passed in a flash. After that, I held Dad's beloved apron close as I sat alone in his deserted house. The attorney had previously completed the necessary papers, and my father kept his word and bequeathed the estate to me. I purchased 3 additional apartments using the proceeds from the bakeries. Just like my dad before me, I felt like I was creating something long-lasting. I had regained my equilibrium a year after Dad's death. I found fulfillment in my work and the responsibility of overseeing my rental homes. As far as I was concerned, I had finally found my new normal. Then my world was flipped upside down when I received a call. "This is your mother, Nikki. If you're available, I'd like to meet up with you when I return to town." I was carried away by my thoughts. I wanted to sever ties with the woman who had left us and never speak to her again. But there was also a part of me that couldn't help but be curious, the part that clung to the innocent girl I had been. The words "all right" escaped my lips. "Let's meet at Dondosi's Mexican restaurant tomorrow at noon." I arrived at the cafe early the following day, my stomach in a knot. She walked in at precisely noon. Of course, she appeared older, but her poise remained unmatched. A young girl, perhaps 18 years old, trailed behind her, albeit she was not alone. My mom saw me and ran over to help. "Nikki, my love, you are stunning. Moreover, here is Anna, who is your sister." A blow seemed to have struck me. "Is she my sister?" We took a seat, and Mom started to share her tale. She detailed her relationship with Larry, who left her shortly after Anna was born, their financial struggles, and her decision to return to her hometown in search of a fresh start. "I heard you have rental properties," she remarked, her voice conveying optimistic hope. I was wondering if maybe. She rambled on, but I understood her question. I glanced over to Anna, who was visibly uneasy as she stared at her hands. Thinking about Dad made me realize how important it is to be kind, no matter the circumstances. I recalled the frightened little girl who, like her, longed for her mother's return. The words "all right" escaped my lips, and flat just became available to me. "Who needs to leave?" Mom was beaming. "I am grateful. Obviously, we will cover the rent." Up went my hand. "No rent, just utilities for now." I kept an eye on Anna while we worked out the details. It seemed odd how young she appeared. I recalled being her age and felt disoriented and solitary following Mom's departure. "So, Anna," I asked in an attempt to come across as nice, "are you a junior in high school?" At last, she looked me straight in the eyes after nodding. Of course, it's strange to start senior year at a different school. Some empathy welled up in me. "Sure, I'll wager. Listen, I'm here for you whenever you need someone to talk to or assistance with anything, whether it's school-related or not. All right." Anna kissed me on the cheek. What a relief. That is very meaningful. Mom gave me another embrace as we walked out of the diner. "Nikki, you are quite special. Even though I'm well aware of how much ground I need to cover, I'm hoping we can begin anew." I was too nervous to say anything, so I just nodded. That night, as I slipped into slumber, I couldn't escape the uneasy sensation that things were going to take a turn for the worst. My mom was back in my life, and I gained a sister, for better or worse. What that implied for each of us could only be revealed in due course. Weird things happened in the months following Mom and Anna's homecoming. Almost as if nothing had happened, Mom reintegrated into her previous life after finding employment as a real estate agent. When Anna was a senior, she decided to attend the local high school. Uncertain about how to manage this new family dynamic, I maintained my distance. Occasionally, Mom would give a call or drop by. "Nikki, my sweetheart, I am eternally grateful for the apartment," she would exclaim with a bright smile. "You've been such a blessing." Her boundless appreciation made me uneasy, but I would nod anyhow. "No worries, Mom. So happy I could be of use." My careful friendship with Anna grew over time. I would provide her a hand with her math assignments or just sit back and listen while she articulates her goals for college. Having a sister was good on one hand, but the weight of the years we lost out on together was always an obstacle. After that, the day of Anna's graduation arrived. From where I sat in the back, I could see Mom's gleaming pride as she got her graduation. Just for a second, I allowed myself to fantasize about what would have happened if Mom hadn't departed. Unannounced and with a red face and fiery eyes, Mom showed up at my home the following day. She abruptly exclaimed, "We need to talk," as she pushed past me and into the living room. Perplexed, I trailed behind her. What's happening? She pivoted to confront me. Act intelligently. All 4 of those apartments are known to me, Nikki. I felt sick to my stomach. How did she discover it? And what about your other option? Maintaining a constant volume, I inquired. You've been keeping this information from us, she exclaimed with a piercing voice. Enjoying life to the fullest while Anna and I barely made ends meet. Anger was boiling over in me. Excuse me, you're living rent-free in one of those apartments. Would it not be enough? Half of those properties are mine, she spat out. It's me, your mom. I found myself laughing out loud. It was completely absurd. Look, you're not kidding. Do you recall that when you left us, you waived any claim to my life and possessions? Child support and parental rights are not recognized. A change occurred in her tone. Nikki, I implore you to consider Anna. She must collect funds for her college expenses. What if you were to sell just one apartment? When she started to say, absolutely not, I interrupted her. I am not responsible for Anna's education. What makes you so self-centered? She sobbed. And now, after all I've done for you? The final straw was that, when I asked, what have you done for me? Perplexed, I fixed my gaze on her. I thought you were saying in your farewell message that you were going to leave me and that I was useless. On the other hand, are you suggesting that you may spend a few months in my apartment without paying rent? My mother writhed as though I had hit her. She remained motionless for a while, her jaw moving in a fish-out-of-water pattern. Shortly after, she abruptly turned around and slammed the door shut, leaving no room for further discussion. My body trembled with rage and pain as I stood there. What gave her the idea? How could she attempt to con me in such a way after everything that has happened? With my head buried in my hands, I collapsed into the couch. I knew deep down that re-establishing contact with Mom was dangerous, but I had hoped, to be honest, my expectations were vague. My wrath subsided, and a profound melancholy replaced it. The woman who was supposed to be my rock and shield turned out to be an unknown somebody intent on taking advantage of me. Where does Anna stand? In regards to her, what was my plan? I saw the barista giving me odd looks 3 weeks after Mom's outburst while I was having coffee at my normal spot. While I was waiting for my order, I briefly caught a glimpse of a conversation happening at a table nearby. Are you kidding me? Despite having multiple apartments of her own, she is still charging her mother rent. I could hardly believe they were referring to me. I went completely limp. In contrast, I overheard more mutterings and side looks in the days that followed. It appeared that Mom had been rather preoccupied with telling everyone her warped version of events. After that, the tweet arrived. While during my lunch break, I nearly choked on my food when I saw it. Nikki, my daughter, makes a lot from her 5 rental units, but she won't even chip in to help pay for her sister's college. I'm barely making ends meet, and she's making me pay exorbitant rent. It breaks my heart that my own child can be so self-centered and greedy. Every one of the comments was devastating. What gives her the right to treat her mother that way? That person is absolutely awful. Everyone from long-lost acquaintances to former classmates shamed me for what they perceived as my avarice. It was as if no one had noticed or cared that this woman had left me when I was a little girl. My employer summoned me to his office at the one moment I believed things could not get worse. Nikki, we need to have a serious conversation with your mom about this situation. He stated, the company's image is beginning to take a hit. I could feel the veins in my face dripping dry. My explanation is ready, sir. Showing a hand, he spoke. I don't want specifics, but I need this fixed swiftly and quietly. This kind of turmoil has no place in our company, you know. Feeling speechless and helpless, I could only nod. Upon returning to my workstation, I noticed an email pertaining to unpaid utilities from Mom's apartment. Just fantastic. I contacted her with trembling hands. So, what's your desire? At one point, she shouted, In an effort to remain composed, I inhaled deeply. The utility bills for your apartment are still outstanding, Mom. Recall that we made a pact for you to handle those. Scoffing, she said, "Oh my gosh, you're really pulling it in with those apartments. You've got enough money to take care of a few bills." "That's not the point," I remarked, my tolerance dwindling. "We came to an understanding." "An agreement," she piped in, her tone distant and uncaring. "As in the promise to support your loved ones. For what benefit did that serve us?" I felt like everything was collapsing around me as I sat there, phone in hand. This was my payoff for all the good deeds I did. I scheduled a consultation with a lawyer despite my sadness. "You have every right to evict your mother," the lawyer told me as he reviewed my case. "You have provided her with ample notice, and she is not paying rent, and she does not have a lease." Nodding, I felt a mix of relief and nervousness. What do I need to do? I received a document from him. "This eviction notice is legally binding. Put it on her plate. We have the option to pursue legal action if she refuses to comply." I drove to Mom's apartment, which was actually my apartment, with the paper in hand. Knocking on the door made my palms tremble. When my mom spotted me, she opened it with an irritated expression on her face. "You it is. Have you finally had a change of heart over the sale of the apartment to fund Anna's college expenses?" "Anna has already decided on a school. Next month she must pay her tuition." Out of amazement came wrath. "Are you fooling me? So you're still demanding things after all this time?" "Stop being dramatic," she said with a sneer. "It's the least you can do for family." There it was. I presented her with the notice of eviction. "I am here. Your notice period is 1 month. A flush spread over Mom's face as she fixated on the page. Subsequently, she lost it suddenly. Through the apartment, her voice resounded as she yelled out, "You ungrateful little brat!" On repeat, "After everything I've done for you." I refused to budge. "Is that all you've accomplished? Are you saying that you're going to leave me high and dry? Practicing defamation against me?" Her hand shot up as she sprang forward. Her hand evaded my strike despite my recoil. On the contrary, she bit my shirt and spat abuses at me. "Listen, you're not important. A cold-hearted, self-centered." While reaching for my phone, I was able to free myself. "It's done. The authorities will be contacted by me." Despite her widening eyes, she persisted in yelling, her language becoming increasingly harsh. When the cops showed up, I was already trembling and my eyes were watering. As quietly as I could, I showed the police the eviction notice and explained the situation. The attention of one cop shifted to Mom. "Ma'am," he declared, "I suggest you calm down and discuss this civilly with your daughter." Mom had a sneer. "On a civil note with her. I can't believe she's attempting to force us to leave." The second cop looked over at me. "From a legal standpoint, this is a civil issue, Ms. Stevens. Outside of a court order, we are unable to remove her forcibly. You two should try to resolve things amicably, but if that fails, you can always take the matter to court." With a sense of defeat, I gave a nod. The smug expression on Mom's face as the police pulled away made me furious. "You aren't going to do it," she teased. "You don't have the guts to take your own mother to court." She had given birth to me, but she had never been a mother in her true sense, and I couldn't help but stare at her. Something within me became more rigid. With a firm voice, I said, "Watch me." I turned and strode away before she had a chance to reply. Behind me, I heard the apartment door slam as I made my way to my car. On the way home, my mind wandered to the impending court battle, additional drama, and excruciating pain. On the other hand, it could be an opportunity to escape her poisonous grip. On the day of the hearing, I entered the courtroom feeling queasy. Over there, I could make out Mom and Anna. Anna appeared as though she wished she could vanish, while Mom's eyes were red and swollen. Mom really went all out when the hearing started. While addressing the judge, she sobbed uncontrollably. "Your Honor," she cried out, My daughter has become so heartless. She's attempting to abandon her own mother and sister in the aftermath of all the help I've given her. When I couldn't control my nerves, I tightened my hands. My anxiety levels plummeted as my lawyer rose to his feet. "Your Honor," he started, his voice unwavering, "I would like to offer evidence that conveys an entirely different narrative." He detailed everything that had happened, including my mother's abandonment when I was 13, the revocation of her parental rights, and her lack of child support payments. In front of the judge, he displayed the unpaid utility bills and the rent-free arrangement. However, he had more to say. "Furthermore, Your Honor, we have evidence that Mrs. Stevens is not in the financial situation she claims." With her eyes wide, Mom's head snapped up. "My attorney said Mrs. Stevens owns an apartment in another city, left to her by a former partner, which she currently rents out for a substantial monthly income." People in the courtroom went silent. A serious look crossed the judge's face as he turned to Mom. "Is this true, Mrs. Stevens?" Ma's complexion turned white. After several false starts, she said, "Yes, Your Honor," before finally speaking. When the judge handed out his ruling, his voice was icy. "The eviction has been granted by this court. On top of that, Mrs. Stevens will be required to pay rent for the months that she was a rent-free tenant. It is very terrible what you have done, Mrs. Stevens. I am closing this case." The resounding crash of the gavel's descent reverberated within me. That was it. I saw Anna as we were leaving the courtroom. I felt bad for her since she seemed disoriented and bewildered. She was not to blame for this. Disregarding Mom's disapproving look, I approached her. "Anna," I whispered softly, "I apologize that this has come to this. And still here for you if you ever need actual assistance. All right." With tears in her eyes, she nodded. "My apologies, Nikki. I had no idea." I went away from her with a sorrowful smile, a burden lifted from my shoulders. Over the subsequent weeks, Mom and Anna vacated my apartment. They supposedly moved in with Mom to her other property. Nobody bothered to get in touch with them. I didn't even bother to attempt. As I stood in the now empty apartment, a whirlwind of emotions flooded my mind. The relief I had felt upon Mom's return, the anguish I felt at her betrayal, and the strain of the court battle. Despite everything, I felt liberated.
Hey there, I'm Sandra, 28 years old, and up until recently, I thought I had life all figured out. I manage a high-end electronics store downtown, and I was living what I thought was my best life with my husband, Michael, in our cozy apartment. But then, well, let me tell you how it all went south. It started when Michael's older brother, William, lost his job. Michael, being the soft-hearted guy he is, suggested William stay with us just for a few weeks. I wasn't thrilled, but I tried to be supportive. I mean, family scambling, right? "It'll only be a little while," Michael said, giving me those puppy dog eyes. "He just needs to get back on his feet." I sighed, already feeling a bit uneasy. "Fine, but he needs to pull his weight around here." Fast forward a month and William was still camped out on our couch, making zero effort to find a job. Our apartment felt smaller by the day, and the tension, well, you could cut it with a knife. One morning, as I was getting ready for work, I tripped over one of William's discarded pizza boxes. "For crying out loud, William," I muttered. Michael poked his head out of the bathroom, toothbrush in hand. "What's wrong, babe?" I gestured at the mess. "Does this look okay to you? Your brothers turned our living room into a landfill." Michael looked uncomfortable, shrugging. "He's going through a rough patch. We just need to be patient." Patient. I was about to lose it, but I bit my tongue and headed to work, grateful for the escape. At the store, my boss Angela noticed my mood. "You look like you could use a coffee, Sandra. Everything all right?" I forced a smile. "Just some family stuff, nothing I can't handle." My colleague Jason chimed in. "Family drama. Do tell." I laughed, appreciating the distraction. "Maybe later. Let's focus on those new product launches, yeah?" As I was setting up a display, Mr. Oliver, our stern HR manager, approached me. Sandra, a moment. My heart skipped a beat. Did I do something wrong? No need to look so worried, he said, noticing my expression. I just wanted to remind you about our employee discount policy. It's a valuable benefit, but remember it's strictly for personal use only. I nodded, relieved. Absolutely, Mr. Oliver. I always play by the rules. Later that night, I met my best friend Lisa for drinks. I desperately needed to vent. Lisa, I'm at my wit's end. William's been with us for a month, and all he's done is raid our fridge and leave a trail of mess everywhere. Lisa frowned. That's not right. Have you talked to Michael about it? I nodded, frustrated. He just keeps making excuses for William. I don't know how much longer I can take this. You need to put your foot down, Lisa advised. It's your home too, you know. I knew she was right, but the thought of confronting Michael and William made my stomach churn. As I headed home, I braced myself for another evening of tension and dirty dishes. Little did I know, this was just the tip of the iceberg. The next Monday at work, I decided to check my employee account. Something didn't feel right, and when I opened the recent purchases, my heart nearly stopped. A 75-inch TV, 3 high-end gaming laptops, all charged to my employee discount. I felt sick to my stomach as I scrolled through the purchases, seeing a shipping address I'd never heard of. There was only one explanation. William. He must have somehow gotten hold of my discount code. That evening, I confronted him in our living room. Care to explain these? I shoved the printout of purchases in his face. William barely looked up from his phone. Oh yeah, thanks for letting me use your discount. Got some sweet deals. Letting you? I never said you could use my employee discount. I was practically shouting now. He rolled his eyes. Chill out, Sandra. You said I could use it that one time, remember? It's not a big deal. Not a big deal? This could cost me my job. Michael walked in, looking concerned. What's going on? I turned to him, hoping for support. Your brother's been using my employee discount without permission. He's jeopardizing my job. To my disbelief, Michael frowned at me. Come on, I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding. William wouldn't do that. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Are you kidding me? You're taking his side. I'm not taking sides, Michael said, but his tone said otherwise. Maybe you did tell him he could use it and forgot. I felt like I was losing my mind. I'd never forget something as serious as giving out my discount code. This was my career on the line. The argument went on for hours, with William playing the victim and Michael defending him. That night, I went to bed feeling utterly alone in my own home. The next day at work, my worst fear came true. Mr. Oliver called me into his office, his expression grave. Sandra, we've noticed some unusual activity on your employee account. Care to explain? My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear myself speak. Mr. Oliver, I can explain. It wasn't me, it was. He held up a hand, cutting me off. We take these matters very seriously, Sandra. There will be a full investigation. Until then, I suggest you refrain from using your discount privileges. I nodded, feeling numb as I left his office. Angela, my boss, pulled me aside. Sandra, what's going on? I overheard your conversation with Mr. Oliver. I broke down and told her everything. Her face grew more concerned with every word. Oh, Sandra, she said softly, you need to understand how serious this is. If the investigation doesn't go in your favor, you could be terminated. The company might even pursue legal action for fraud. Her words hit me like a ton of bricks. I could lose my job, my career, everything I'd worked so hard for, all because of William's selfishness and Michael's blind loyalty. I felt completely trapped. My home life was in shambles. My marriage was on the rocks, and now my job was hanging by a thread. How had everything gone so wrong so fast? And more importantly, how was I going to fix this mess? The next day at work, I pulled Jason aside during lunch. Jason, I need your help. You're good with computers, right? He nodded, looking intrigued. What's up? I took a deep breath and spilled everything. To his credit, Jason listened without interrupting, his eyes widening as I explained. Damn, that's messed up. Of course, I'll help. Let's do some digging. Over the next few days, Jason and I worked tirelessly, scouring online marketplaces and tracing the items purchased with my discount. It didn't take long to find William's reselling accounts. Look at this, Jason said, pointing at his screen. These accounts go back years. Your brother-in-law has been running scams like this for a while. I felt a mixture of vindication and disgust. That snake. I bet he's done this to other people too. But I need more concrete evidence. That night, I set my phone to record and confronted William again. William, I know you used my employee discount without permission. I want you to admit it. He scoffed, unaware he was being recorded. Whatever, Sandra. Yeah, I used your discount. So what? It's not like you were using it. You had no right to do that. You've put my job at risk. Not my problem, he sneered. Maybe you should have thought about that before you gave me the code. I never gave you the code. You stole it, I replied, furious. William just shrugged and walked away. I stopped the recording, my hands shaking with anger. The next day, while William was out, I searched his room. In his email, I found messages to Michael, painting me as the bad guy and manipulating him into taking his side. I forwarded them to myself, feeling sick but determined. That evening, I called Lisa. I can't stay here anymore. Can I crash at your place for a while? Of course, honey. Come over right now. I'll help you pack. As we loaded my suitcase into Lisa's car, Michael came home. Sandra, what's going on? Where are you going? I couldn't even look at him. I'm staying with Lisa for a while. I need some space to think. He tried to speak, but I cut him off. No, Michael. You chose your side, now I'm choosing mine. At Lisa's apartment, I finally felt like I could breathe. She hugged me tightly. You're doing the right thing. Have you thought about legal action? I nodded. I have a friend from college who is a lawyer. I'm meeting her tomorrow. The next day, I met with Sarah, my lawyer friend. She listened carefully to my story and examined the evidence I'd gathered. Sandra, you've got a strong case here, not just against William, but potentially against the company if they try to terminate you unfairly. For the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope. So what should I do? Keep gathering evidence. Don't confront William or Michael again. And stay professional at work. Buy time if you can, but don't do anything that could be seen as obstructing their investigation. Back at work, the atmosphere was tense. Mr. Oliver called me in for another meeting. Sandra, our investigation is ongoing. We're going to need to see your personal financial records. I took a deep breath, remembering Sarah's advice. I understand, Mr. Oliver. I'm fully cooperating with the investigation, but I'd like to request a few days to get those records in order. Is that all right? He nodded, slightly surprised by my calm demeanor. Of course. Please have them ready by Friday. As I left his office, I saw Angela watching me with concern. I gave her a small, determined smile. I was walking a tightrope, but I wasn't going to fall. Not this time. William had messed with the wrong person, and I was going to make sure he faced the consequences. Friday morning, I walked into Mr. Oliver's office with my head held high and a folder full of evidence. Angela was there too, looking nervous but supportive. Mr. Oliver, Angela, before we proceed with the investigation, there's something you need to see. I laid out everything. The recordings, the emails, the online reselling accounts. Their expressions shifted from skepticism to shock as they sifted through the evidence. Sandra, this is quite something, Mr. Oliver said, his usual stern demeanor softened. Why didn't you come to us earlier? I needed to be sure. I couldn't risk my career on suspicions alone. Angela spoke up. This clears you completely, Sandra, but it also means we have a serious case of fraud on our hands. Mr. Oliver nodded gravely. Indeed. We'll be pursuing legal action against William. Sandra, your handling of this situation has been exemplary. Relief washed over me, but I knew this was just the beginning. That evening, I met Michael at a coffee shop. His face was a mix of confusion and worry. Sandra, what's going on? Why did you want to meet here? Without a word, I slid the folder of evidence across the table. Michael's face fell as he read through William's manipulative emails. I don't know what to say, Sandra. I'm so sorry. I should have believed you. Part of me wanted to forgive him on the spot, but the hurt was still too raw. You should have, Michael. I'm your wife. I needed you to trust me, and you didn't. Can we fix this? Us? I sighed. I don't know, Michael. I need time. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. The company pressed charges against William for fraud. As news spread, his online reselling accounts were shut down, and he was banned from major platforms. Then, something unexpected happened. An old acquaintance of William's saw his arrest in the news and came forward with evidence of a past scam. William was hit with additional charges. I watched from afar as his carefully constructed house of cards came crashing down. Part of me felt sorry for him, but a bigger part felt vindicated. At work, things took a surprising turn. Mr. Oliver called me into his office again, but this time with good news. Sandra, in light of recent events and your exceptional handling of a difficult situation, we'd like to offer you a promotion. How does regional manager sound? I was speechless. Thank you, Mr. Oliver. I'd be honored. As I settled into my new role and my new apartment, I reflected on everything that had happened. The betrayal, the struggle, the vindication. It had all taught me valuable lessons of self-respect and setting boundaries, even with family. Michael and I were talking again, slowly rebuilding trust. Whether we fully reconcile, only time would tell, but I knew one thing for sure. I was stronger now, more successful, and free from toxic influences. Looking out the window of my new office, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The road had been tough, but I'd come out on top. Whatever challenges lay ahead, I knew I was ready to face them head on. Hi, I'm Linda, 28 years old, working as an accountant at Bright Ideas. It's not a terrible job, but my coworkers? There's something else. Every morning, I pack my lunch into my trusty beat-up lunchbox. Still brown bagging it, Linda? Jennifer sneers, strutting by in her designer heels. James can't resist chiming in either. Ever heard of Uber? He teases as he catches me waiting at the bus stop. Oh right, probably not in your budget. I grit my teeth, refusing to let their comments get to me. If only they knew why I save every penny. My little sister, Pamela, has been sick for years. Her treatments are expensive, and with our parents out of the picture, it's all on me. So yeah, I bring lunch from home, take the bus, and shop at thrift stores. Sue me. One afternoon, Lisa, with her fake smile plastered on, asks, Linda, we're all going out for drinks after work. Want to join? Oh wait, maybe that's not in your budget. I force a smile. Thanks, but I've got plans. My plans usually involve heading straight home to Pamela. She needs help with her meds, and honestly, I'd rather be with her than deal with these jerks. Tyler, the new guy in accounting, is the only one who treats me decently. After a particularly nasty comment from Jennifer about my clearance rack outfit, he leans in and whispers, "Don't let them get to you." I nod, grateful for his kindness. But I can't tell him or anyone else about Pamela and the experimental treatment I'm saving up for. That's my business. Later that week, I'm heating up my sad little microwave meal when Jennifer saunters into the break room with her entourage. Oh my God, did you see what Linda's wearing today? She stage whispers. I swear it's the same blouse from last month. Maybe she's going for a world record. James laughs, but I tune them out. I have bigger things to worry about than their petty comments. At home that evening, Pamela notices I'm quieter than usual. Rough day at the office? She asks, wincing as she stretches on the couch. I paste on a smile. Nothing I can't handle. How about we watch that new show you've been talking about? As we curl up on the couch, I remind myself why I endure the snide remarks and the isolation at work. One day, we'll have enough saved for that treatment. One day, Pamela will be better. And on that day, I'll walk into that office with my head held high, knowing every brown bag lunch and thrift store outfit was worth it. The office is decked out in tinsel and cheap decorations for our annual Christmas party. I'm already on edge, having spent the morning helping Pamela through a painful flare-up. Linda, you made it. Jennifer's voice drips with fake enthusiasm. Love the festive sweater, Goodwill's finest. I tug at my worn red sweater and force a smile. Thanks for noticing. All right, everyone. Jennifer claps her hands. Time for Secret Santa. I've forgotten all about it in the chaos of Pamela's recent hospital stay. Who's got Linda? Jennifer sing-songs. James steps forward with a smirk. That'd be me. He thrusts a box into my hands. I unwrap it slowly, aware of everyone watching. Inside is a brand new designer wallet. Thought you could use something to put all that money you're saving in. James laughs, and the room erupts in snickers. My face burns with embarrassment, but I keep my head down. Lisa interjects, pretending to be the voice of reason. Oh, come on, James, I'm sure Linda put a lot of thought into it. Later, I overhear them whispering in the corner. So Cancun in February? Jennifer gushes. Found this amazing all-inclusive resort. Sounds perfect. Lisa agrees. Just don't tell you know who. Can you imagine Linda on a beach? She'd probably bring bagged lunches to save money. Their laughter cuts through me like a knife. I turn to leave and nearly collide with Tyler. You okay? He asks, concern etched on his face. I nod, barely holding it together. I'm fine. I manage, then rush for the exit. At home, I find Pamela looking pale on the couch. How was the party? She asks weakly. I force a smile. Oh, office parties. Did you hear back about that new treatment? My heart clenches. Not yet, but don't worry. We'll figure it out. As I tuck Pamela into bed that night, I make a decision. I can't keep this up, the constant judgment, the isolation. It's wearing me down. The next morning, I catch Tyler before our first meeting. Can we talk? I ask hesitantly. He nods, leading me to a quiet corner. Taking a deep breath, I spill everything. Pamela's condition, the experimental treatment, why I pinch every penny. Tyler listened without interrupting, his eyes widening with each detail I revealed. When I finished, he shook his head in disbelief. Linda, I had no idea, he said softly. What you're doing for your sister, it's incredible. For the first time in months, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Someone finally knew. Someone understood. Thanks for listening, I said, managing a genuine smile. As we walked back to our desks, I overheard James and Jennifer snickering about my dollar store phone case. But this time, I held my head high. Let them laugh. They had no idea what real strength looked like. That evening, my heart nearly stopped when I got a call from the neighbor. Pamela had collapsed. I rushed her to the ER, panic tightening my chest. For 3 days, I barely left her side as the doctors ran test after test. On the 4th day, exhausted and sleep-deprived, I called the office. I need some time off, I told my manager. Family emergency. When I finally returned to work a week later, the atmosphere had shifted. Whispers followed me down the hallway, and I caught furtive glances from my colleagues. Jennifer and Lisa huddled by the water cooler, shooting me looks that felt like daggers. As I passed the break room, I heard James's voice. I'm telling you, she's on her way out, probably embezzlement or something. Why else would she be so obsessed with money? My blood ran cold. What the hell had they been saying about me while I was gone? Lisa approached my desk, her face a mask of fox concern. Linda, honey, we've all been so worried. Is everything okay? We heard some things. What things? I asked warily. Oh, she hedged. Just that you might be in some trouble. Financial issues, maybe, or personal problems. I gritted my teeth. Everything's fine, Lisa. Thanks for your concern. As she walked away, I saw her whisper something to Jennifer, and they both burst into laughter. Tyler was the only one who treated me the same. He stopped by my desk, a concerned look in his eyes. You okay? You seem stressed. I forced a weak smile. I'm fine, just a lot going on. He hesitated. Listen, I've been hearing some pretty wild rumors. Is there anything I can do to help? Before I could answer, James's booming voice cut through the office. Well, look who finally decided to grace us with her presence. Feeling lazy, Linda? Something in me snapped. All the stress, the worry about Pamela, the constant judgment, it all came pouring out. Lazy, I shot back, my voice shaking with fury. You want to talk about lazy, James? How about spending your days gossiping and bullying instead of actually doing your job? The office went dead silent. James's face turned a furious shade of red. How dare you? He began, but I cut him off. No, how dare you? You have no idea what I've been dealing with. None of you do. You sit here in your little bubble, judging me for being cheap or stingy, when you don't know the first thing about my life. Oh, please, Jennifer sneered. We all know you're just a tightwad. My sister is dying. I shouted, tears streaming down my face. She's dying, and I've been killing myself trying to save money for an experimental treatment that might save her life. So yes, I bring my lunch, I take the bus. I shop at thrift stores because every single penny counts when someone you love is suffering. The silence that followed was deafening. James's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Jennifer looked like she'd been slapped, and Lisa had gone pale. Tyler stepped forward, placing a supportive hand on my shoulder. I think we all owe Linda an apology, he said firmly. And maybe it's time we had a serious discussion about the toxic culture in this office. As I stood there, Shaking with a mix of anger and relief, I realized something had fundamentally changed. The facade had crumbled, and for better or worse, the truth was finally out. Taking a deep breath, I squared my shoulders. I'm going to take the rest of the day off, I announced. And when I come back tomorrow, I expect things to be different. If not, I'll be speaking to HR. With that, I grabbed my bag and walked out, leaving a stunned office in my wake. For the first time in months, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, things were about to change. I walked into the conference room, my stomach in knots. Every employee was there, along with our CEO, Mr. Daniels. Thank you all for coming, Mr. Daniels began, his voice stern. It's come to our attention that there are some serious issues with our workplace culture that need to be addressed. I took a deep breath and stood up. If I may, I'd like to share something. All eyes turned to me. Jennifer and James exchanged nervous glances. For the past 2 years, I've been saving every penny I can to help my sister Pamela. She has a rare condition, and there's an experimental treatment that could save her life. That's why I've been so frugal. The room went silent. I've endured constant mockery and bullying because of my choices. I continued, my voice steady. But it stops now. Mr. Daniels looked furious. This is unacceptable. We're implementing a zero-tolerance policy for workplace bullying, effective immediately. James stood up, his face turning red. Come on, it was just a bit of fun. Mr. Stevens, you're suspended pending an investigation. Mr. Daniels cut him off sharply. As the meeting ended, Jennifer and Lisa approached me. Linda, we had no idea, Lisa stammered. We're so sorry. I held up a hand. Save it. Your apologies mean nothing to me. 6 months later, I sat in the hospital holding Pamela's hand. The treatment had been grueling, but her doctors were cautiously optimistic. Miss Thompson, a nurse called, poking her head into the room. There's a call for you at the nurse's station. I picked up the phone, and to my surprise, it was Mr. Daniels. Linda, I have some news, he said. We're promoting you to senior financial analyst. Your dedication and financial acumen have been exemplary. I couldn't believe it. Thank you, sir. That's wow. When I returned to work, the office had changed. James was gone, fired for harassing another coworker. Jennifer had been demoted and kept mostly to herself. Lisa tried to play nice, but most people gave her a wide berth. Tyler greeted me with a warm smile. Hey, senior analyst, a few of us are grabbing lunch later if you'd like to join. I grinned. You know what? I think I will. As I settled into my new role, I found myself forming real friendships. People respected me now, not just for my work ethic, but for my strength. One Friday, as I was packing up, Tyler stopped by my desk. Big plans this weekend. I couldn't help but smile. Actually, yeah, I'm planning a vacation, a real one, with Pamela. She's doing well enough to travel now. That's fantastic. Where to? Thinking Hawaii. Figured I've earned some beach time. For the first time in years, I felt light, free. I had stood my ground, saved my sister, and come out stronger. As I stepped into the warm sunshine outside the office, I knew the best was yet to come. If you were in my position, would you have revealed your personal struggles to your coworkers sooner, or would you have kept it private?